Hello, kia ora, g'day. It is Tuesday the 5th of August and this is your Australia Only Update. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube. Let's have a look and see what's going on this morning. We've got a bit of a cold front moving through Tasmania and Victoria. We've seen some thunderstorms this morning, some heavy downpours, but it's moving along quite quickly. So a lot of that will be clearing away by the time you watch this, followed by a bit of windy weather and a few showers. The thing that kind of jumps out on the map, the high cloud coming through from Western Australia right across to the eastern side. I'm going to show you in a second why that is happening, but it does kind of jump out at the moment. On the wind map at the surface level of the planet, you don't see all that high cloud that's forming across central parts of Australia. In fact, you can see a big high pressure zone moving through and a larger one off to the southwest. So that is moving in at the moment. You can see the westerly behind that cold front that's just gone through by this evening, that cold front moving out into the Tasman Sea, and a general westerly flow coming in for New South Wales, but still a bit of a southerly flow for some of the northern states at the moment and the Northern Territory. Now let's have a look at the Jetream. So that's a higher level altitude of wind. And this is a very windy setup. So that high cloud you just saw is forming in this area here. So where the planes fly, very windy. And when I say very windy, what do I mean? Well, sustained winds of between 180 kilometers an hour and 280 kilometers an hour, high up in the atmosphere. So if you're flying today from the eastern side to the western side, your flight will be slower if you're going through the middle of that. You may notice some flights are going northwards or southwards to kind of avoid the headwinds. It slows down the plane. If you're going the other direction from west to east, that'll zip up your flight, make it faster to fly across Australia today. But that is very windy weather high up into the altitude. That's why you're seeing that cloud spread across, even though at the surface level, the wind is going the other direction. It's an easterly wind blowing along like that. That's important to note because a lot of people don't realize all the different currents up in the atmosphere. It is no different than the sea. Sea's got multiple currents in it and different temperatures. The atmosphere very similar like that. So you can often have something higher up moving one direction and on the surface going the other way. So easterly winds are pushing along and that one line of cloud, you can see a few showers forming. We might see a few isolated thunderstorms. The other main feature, the colder change in the southeast, that is still there. High pressure is moving into the south. Things are calming down after what's been a stormy past few weeks. But it's still a bit wintry down in Tasmania and across most of the southern half of Victoria. In fact, all of Victoria really feeling that colder airflow and then it fades out. So dry weather for New South Wales, the ACT, Queensland and the Northern Territory here on Wednesday. Things start to change a little bit on Thursday. That's because the high that's moving along the south here is moving along. It's going out to the east. That then changes what's happening in the western areas. So we start to see a little bit of low pressure and that could form some severe thunderstorms inland. So that's just worth monitoring there on Thursday afternoon, mostly around Ayers Rock, Uluru area. That's where we're going to be seeing those downpours. Elsewhere, just a few showers in the mix on the southern areas, high pressure in control, so there won't be a huge amount of rain. And then you see the eastern side, and this begins a new weather pattern for you, although it's kind of a same old pattern, but it's coming back again, the showery, cloudy easterly. And that starts really on Thursday, and it continues going into Friday and into the weekend as well. Sorry for those of you on the East Coast who's a bit tired of cloud and showers. Severe weather risks mostly into Queensland with severe thunderstorms here on Friday. And later on, I haven't highlighted it because it's not really till nighttime, but there's also a thunderstorm risk for the southwest of Western Australia later on. You can see there's a northerly wind coming down ahead of the next cold front for Western Australia. Elsewhere, the easterlies are pushing through. Thunderstorms, as I say, in Queensland, might be a few thunderstorms that form into New South Wales. And then on the eastern side, the usual cloud, showers, lower level rainfall, bottom of the scale in that blue, 1, maybe 5 millimeters for most of you. Some might go up to sort of 10, but generally high pressure, very powerful, 1035, and that high is actually getting stronger as we go through this week. All right, let's have a look at the thunderstorm risk. So this is for 11 o'clock Friday night, Western Australia, 1 in the morning, Saturday time, eastern areas. So we've got severe thunderstorms in a fairly remote part of Queensland, but some severe thunderstorm risks here in the early hours of Saturday morning. And in Western Australia, in comes that next cold front. Thunderstorms, squally kind of showers are in the mix for you. They could be severe as well for Western Australia. So jump forward to Saturday PM. There is that thunderstorm risk, severe thunderstorms, squally showers that can have damaging winds. That's all possible there in isolated sort of cases in the southwest corner of Western Australia. Ahead of that, around Esperance and Kalgoorlie, you've got the northerly winds blowing. Not much happening up in the Pilbara and the Kimberley regions. Not much happening in the Northern Territory either. As you come further down into South Australia, easterly winds might produce a shower. Doesn't look like much. Mostly dry. Further inland, that's where you got the severe weather box. Now look, this is borderline in the sense of it being severe, but you do see the risk of severe thunderstorms inland again on Saturday, and then this newly forming low pressure zone around the Coral Sea. So between that low and the high down around Tasmania, you got a windy easterly. For the most part, those winds aren't damaging, but they could get up to gale force, which is more of a problem for those of you on boats planning to go out. You've got some very heavy rain as well near the Queensland coastline, 100 millimetres in just a day there, but that is mostly offshore, as it was yesterday as well. So that box just highlights a risk, but not necessarily locked in for you. And if you're in Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne, or Hobart, there's not much to talk about. It's a fairly quiet Saturday for you, but maybe a few showers and that easterly wind in Sydney. That may pick up a little further on Sunday as that wet weather goes further down the east coast, and that's because high pressure is clearing away from the southeast. It's heading off towards New Zealand. That allows the low up here to get a little bigger, a little deeper in the air pressure, and so windy weather fans out all the way across the coastal side of New South Wales. Once you get down to about the ACT, Victoria, wind isn't really a problem. Northeasterlies should be fairly mild, in fact, after the colder weather you've just had. That's worth monitoring, though, as we go into the weekend. And then we jump over South Australia, severe weather box on Sunday, still there. The polar line just coming up and brushing Albany. Further to the north, you could have some thunderstorms in the mix and just some heavy showers. And then gradually that moves eastwards as we go into Sunday night and going into Monday. By Monday, just a few showers left over for Western Australia. Not a lot of energy in it, but you never know. You might get a thunderstorm still remaining from that setup. Further north, it's dry across the northern half of Australia, except for a few showers around the far north Queensland. You might just see a few there. Northeasterly winds, so a little humid, but nothing too big. And the southeast corner has southeasterly winds, so not as warm as those of your neighbours further up the coastline. And that again carries on those showers into New South Wales. Again, rainfall totals aren't huge, between a few millimetres and maybe getting up to 20 millimetres or so further into the northern side of New South Wales. Otherwise, really not a huge amount to talk about as we go into the start of next week. So there we go, that is all for today. Oh, actually, one last thing. I was standing in front of it, I just realised, out on the Tasman, that low that's dropping from the Coral Sea coming into the Tasman does pose a bit of a severe weather risk for Norfolk Island, so just worth monitoring that one. Warm weather coming through, but that could be coming through later into Monday night or Tuesday of next week. We'll have more details about that one tomorrow for you. That's all from me for today. Thank you for all the comments on YouTube. Now that we're doing daily videos, I read all of them. Believe me, I love reading all your comments, but we don't always have the time to reply and like them all. But please know, definitely read every single comment that comes in to the YouTube page. Have yourselves a great day. See you again tomorrow.